Hello everyone and welcome to Wednesday's Talking Reds. My name is Mo Stewart. This is Rob Gutmann. We haven't been together for a while, have we?
Been the longest time, Mo. Getting separation anxiety. When was it? Well pre-Christmas, wasn't it?
Yeah, easily pre-Christmas. I would say.
You've been away. I've been.
We're busy people, you know.
Busy people with busy lives.
Yeah,
we're here for you.
Yes,
we're back
to bring you all of the best news. And starting with best news, another day, another Liverpool player's picking up a shiny trophy. In fact, as a guy who's quite used to picking up shiny trophies, Jordan Henderson has been named England Player of the Year, BT England Player of the Year. I believe it's a public vote as well, which considering...
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
that figures.
But you say that, but like Liverpool fans in general don't really care about England. They're kind of like ambivalent to it.
We'll vote in Man United player polls, Tottenham player polls. We don't give a shit. It's all about the winning for the Reds.
So yeah, regardless, I mean, I don't know how much of England you've seen over the last year, but I genuinely think that he's come from a position of being kind of derided, kind of people unsure as to what his place is, where his place is. He's kind of fought off Eric Dyer and to a certain extent Declan Rice and become really important and integral to not just the team but the squad there.
Yeah, I mean, you can sense an emerging grudging respect, although I still think if you just polled, I don't know, Twitter or the man in the street as to England's Player of the Year the day before yesterday, they wouldn't have necessarily picked Jordan's name out of the hat. So it's a pleasant surprise, I reckon, for Jordan and for us. But weirdly, it's the right decision.
Yeah.
Which you don't expect. I mean, from nowhere you'd have expected them to pick Harry Kane just cause.
Well, he came third and Raheem Sterling came second as well, so...
Yeah, Raheem's had a good year. But, you know, I think it's probably as much an acknowledgement to the fact that if you look at the England players out there, in the wider world, never mind what they're doing for England, it's Jordan Henderson. You know, he's the man who's lifting trophies. Has he picked up that award yet?
I'm not sure. I've not seen the picture of him with it in Melwood.
I want to see him do the little dance to do it, even for that. Should be for everything. Like when his wife says, "Your tea's ready, Jordan." He'll start to annoy people. I would. Sorry, Jordan.
No, I would 100% milk it as well. But it's part of, I think, a wider acceptance of his importance in the team. Obviously, it's looking like he's going to be the captain to lift the Premier League trophy. And I've noticed...
What are you saying?
I said
we're going to win the league.
I said it's looking like...
You're not saying certain, are you? No.
I've got really good at not using indefinitives
right,
over the course of the last month or so.
Might, would, could, should.
There's always a get-out clause. Anyway, the point I'm making is that the wider football world seems to have kind of come to terms with this idea that this is what's likely to happen. And obviously, as the captain of the team and as of the fulcrum of the team when it comes to midfield, there seems to be an acceptance now that, okay, we finally see why he's in there. We finally see what Klopp sees in him and what it is that he keeps giving to this team.
Yeah, the weird thing has been is I think he's played the best football of his career in a sort of forced role, back in the number 6 role with Fabinho's injury. I don't think that's a controversial thing to say. But it's almost like he's sort of, I don't know, had a word with himself. But he's an incredible self-motivated Jordan Henderson. He's come through a lot. He's come through setbacks with injuries, come through being written off. He's been moved around, changes of manager. You know, Rodgers was going to let him go. We all know those stories. So he's, you know, I think we'll come back to look back on his career. He's one of the mentally strongest players to have ever played for the club.
Definitely. And the interesting thing, like you say, about his recent form going back to the 6 is that last season, his form picked up when he kind of left the 6 and he was kind of revitalised as a number 8. We all thought, okay, this is going to be him for the foreseeable now. But like you say, when the team needed him to do something, that's almost when he comes to life the most.
Yeah, I think motivation's a key thing for Jordan Henderson. I think if you looked around that Liverpool team, if you're honest, he is technically good, but but relative to what we have in that team, he's not a standout technician.
No.
So I think his attribute has to be he has to be the guy who's running the hardest, the fastest. He has to be the most committed, and I think he wears the burden of captaincy as well, carries the burden of captaincy. So I think if that's the nature of your game, you are looking for your motivation, to use a movie sense. Do you know what I mean? So I think the rejuvenation, the refreshment of the change of position almost, and the rise and fall cycle for him, I think it's important for who he is as a person and a player.
Now, you mentioned Fabinho there. Keen-eyed observers of you would know that he's actually back from injury in full training now and available for selection this weekend against Manchester United. Now, obviously, Manchester United's a big game. It's always going to be a big game. But as it stands, they're the only team to take any points off us at all in the league. So we kind of want to get to a situation where we've literally beaten everyone else in the league by the middle of January. Are you putting him straight back in?
No, I'm not. I think when my phone's just going off. I'll just turn it off. I just turned it off. That was Fabinho. I'm sorry. Sorry, mate. You're just not getting straight back in. See what I did there?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, I'm good. No, see, I think if a player's out, he's obviously a hugely important player to us. I think if he's out 2 weeks, maybe 3, big game, you know his qualities, you trust him to come back in. He's in the 6, he's not running the length and breadth of the field necessarily. You drop him in, but how many weeks has it been? It's quietly been quite a number, hasn't it?
It's been quiet, yeah. It was the beginning of December, I believe, that he got injured. So
I think if you dropped him in, you'd be dropping him with a view to getting him off on 60. And I don't think, if you don't need to, look, at the end of the day, if we're having a 6 off between him and Jordan's going, I don't see how what I've done wrong. We've scored more goals, we've conceded less.
Wait, you did say 6 off then?
A 6 off.
Right, okay. Yeah,
I did.
Just wanted to be clear.
Definitely. So, you know, it would, if the man in possession wasn't in such fantastic form, you might go, geez, we had a couple of games struggling. You go, just get Fabinho back in. But there's absolutely no need whatsoever.
It's a good problem to have in some respects, though, isn't it? The fact, like you say, that he is in such good form that we can afford to bring it back. Could you see maybe the other way around, as in Jordan starts and then you give Fabinho maybe 25 off the bench to get his legs under him, particularly if we're in a decent position in the game?
I think that's where his role comes in. I think he will. There's often scenarios on 60. Mm-hmm. Winning, you bring him on. Not winning, you're going to make an attacking change. But he's a great option to have if you want to close out the game. I don't think it's going to be very long till we see him back in the side.
No.
The only issue I would say is, without him, we scored more goals. And I don't actually think it's a factor of him. It's because when we had him, we looked at our best 3 midfield players, and often the 3 fit ones, to be honest, were him, Gini Wijnaldum and Henderson. When you play those 3, arguably you do lack a more attacking, creative player, don't you? If you're picking those 3 and they're the Champions League winning midfield, you're not picking an Abikati, you're not picking an Oxlade-Chamberlain, a Lallana, now maybe a Minamino or even a Curtis. You're not picking a creative mid, a true attacking number 8. And that's where I think the conundrum will come in for Klopp. He'll go, Southampton at home looming 2 or 3 weeks' time. Do you play all 3? Fabinho's fit, do you go with him, Henderson, Wijnaldum? Like I said, team that won the Champions League, or do you drop one of them? I don't know. I just think that's a consideration.
I mean, there's going to be plenty of shows between now and the game where we're going to be discussing the exact makeup of the team and the midfield, so we will be discussing that at length. For now, though, I want to give you a little snippet of a brand new show that we've got out so far this week. It's called A 1-to-1, and this is with the superb director of documentaries about the likes of Ayrton Senna, Amy Winehouse, and Diego Maradona. This is Asif Kapadia.
And we had one interview where I thought, okay, I've got to dig into the heavy stuff.
Yeah.
I've got to ask about, the drugs. I've got to ask about the kids that he's had that he didn't recognise. I've got to ask about the links to kind of gangsters and stuff like that. And I saved it up to the penultimate interview. And at one point, when we were doing the interviews, I ask a question in English, someone translates it, he answers in Spanish. In my ear, I'm having live translation. So while he's talking to me, looking at me, I've got a phone on the table ringing Buenos Aires. And Laura is in Buenos Aires calling me back on another phone to give me live translation via WhatsApp, because I couldn't bring everyone to Dubai. It's very expensive. And he speaks a very particular kind of Argentinian Spanish. He speaks Diego language, really. And so I'm sitting there nodding and listening, not understanding what he's saying. About 15 seconds slower, the translation comes through where he looks at me and says, "You've got a real nerve. Who do you think you are asking me these questions to my face? Who do you think you are?" And he wasn't happy. And I'm nodding and smiling, going, yeah. And then eventually the translation, I'm like, oh, shit. Because I was asking about his kid, Diego Jr.
Yeah.
And it was a very long pause, and it got quite cold in there. And then eventually he says, "But for that I respect you, because most people would never have the nerve to ask me these questions to my face. They ask them to my back." So I went, okay, but when he wants to be in a good mood, you're very happy. When he's smiling and he's cheerful, but when he's not in a good mood, you know it, and he's not, So there was a particular moment when it did turn a bit frosty. And the honest truth is, I never got in the room with him again. That was the last interview. That interview was the one where you said, right, I've had enough.
It's a fantastic interview. I hope you go out and watch the whole thing of it in future. Now, something that happened last night that affected Liverpool Football Club, there was an FA Cup replay, and Shrewsbury managed to get past Bristol City thanks to an absolute blinding goal in the 89th minute, I believe it was. So we are going to the new meadow, Rob.
We are going to the new. Well, we hope we're going to the new meadow. Well, I reckon our allocation. It's an 8,500 capacity stadium. I think
it's not going to be big.
I think 1,500 allocation might be optimistic. I know you get more in the cup, but still, I don't know quite how it's going to work. I think Shrewsbury may find their cop full with Liverpool fans. I don't know. I'm going to make it beg, borrow, or steal. It's a great town, Shrewsbury.
Yes.
We were talking before, you know, I know, great boozers, Shrewsbury really... I might just go, you know.
I think this is going to be one of those situations where Liverpool fans just kind of go to Shrewsbury and absorb as much of the atmosphere as possible.
Like the Champions League final.
Yeah, exactly.
I couldn't get tickets for the final, but I was in the city. I just might do that for Shrewsbury. It's a 5 o'clock kickoff, isn't it?
Yeah, on a Sunday.
It's not like every boozer won't have it on because it's on BBC One. Well, BBC One will probably cut off the last 10 minutes because they've got to go to the news or something.
Something stupid.
Whatever they like.
But yeah, I mean, it's a great tie. I mean, obviously Bristol away would have had its own advantages. But I think from our perspective, a team 16th in League One, we're going into a situation where we are going to still have a lot of games going. We've got Wolves and we've got the West Ham game to make up for either side of it. So a team where we can kind of rest a few people, maybe bring out the MK Dons team as opposed to not just the Everton team from the FA Cup. What do you think? Do you think we'll go that deep, or do you think we'll be looking to give some of the fringe players more games?
Yes. To be honest with you, I have given this quite a lot of thought, and Klopp has a genuine horns of a dilemma on his hands here. The spirit of the Everton win, in particular, but you can also trace it back to the Arsenal win in the League Cup, and also the showing against Villa, even though we lost. There's a project this season around the kids and around giving them a chance against serious opposition. So I think Klopp has to almost start his team by going, now which of these kids more than anybody else deserve to be in that squad, regardless of Liverpool's ambitions in the FA Cup. And I actually think that's how he'll approach it. And I think he will say Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott, and I think he'll stop there for a minute and go, right, I now have to pick those. I think he'll then go Nico Williams, Adrian, obviously. Yeah. So I think those four. I think he will then have a dilemma on his hands over Pedro Chirivella, because this is where back to the Fabinho question. Fabinho is going to need minutes. If he doesn't start against Man U, I don't think it means he starts necessarily against Wolves in the week. You then start him in that cup game with a view for him to playing West Ham, perhaps. Okay. So I think he with players coming back to fitness, touch wood, it remains that way. He does have to give people minutes. So Matip and Lovren, if they're training again. I was
going to say.
So no minutes for who? Well, Nathan Phillips has gone back. Vandenberg and Kian Herver didn't play last time anyway. So it could be a Matip Lovren back two. Yasser Larouci, he could play again at left back because Milner's injured, so there's not an obvious issue in that. I do think Nico Williams would come in for Trent. Am I allowed to name the entire team again?
I mean, you can do your best. I feel like
I'm getting there. Chamberlain, Fabinho. It's going to be a strong. Do you know what? The bottom line is, considering we're taking on a team 16th, you say, in League One, it's going to be a strong enough team. In fact, it's going to feel like, I think it's going to feel like a first team that's had a couple of youngsters thrown in rather than a second team. So, yeah.
And I mean, that's kind of the beauty of the way that these guys have played, is it's almost like they've raised their level up to where the rest of the first team is. It's a really interesting article.
Yeah, I know the one, and I saw it. It was in the wake of the 5-0 under-23 win on Monday night, I think it was. Did you watch that?
I did.
It was. Do you know? I sit and watch the under-23s a lot, and after half an hour, I go, I can't be doing with this shit. No offence, lads. But it's just youth team football. It lacks. What have I done? It's not them. It's the whole. Yeah. But it's not. I'm not talking about Liverpool. I'm just talking about youth team football can be difficult to switch down to when you're used to watching things which you've got some momentum to. But they played with an intensity now, and I think it's a very post-Everton thing, which reminded me of the first team. And you saw lads like Curtis Jones having stepping it up on a level.
That's the thing that I was going to mention about off the back of that, the fact that someone like Jones in particular, once he's gone back to the under-23, he's not let his head drop. He's trying to prove that he can still do what he needs to do, and he's doing it when not not everyone's watching, as opposed to just when everyone's watching, which I'm really encouraged by. But I wanted to flag up something from the FA Cup, because obviously the reason the kids played the Aston Villa game was this madness of fixture congestion, and there could be another one on the horizon as well, because of the February winter break. That means the fifth round of the cup is going to be a midweek round.
You after which date is it? After which league game?
I think it's after Norwich.
Well, directly after Norwich is Atletico away. Is the Atletico ones back-to-back week-wise, or is there a gap between?
There is a gap in between.
Be that gap, won't it?
Yeah, but oh no, wait, sorry. It's for the second leg that's gonna crowd, because it's the midweek of the 3rd, 4th, 5th of March.
Okay.
So there's a chance that Liverpool, because of the Champions League date being pretty much set in stone.
Yeah.
If we become the Thursday game for TV, which is likely because we want to be on TV, all the companies want us on their shows at the moment. It could be that we're playing Thursday. The Bournemouth game will be moved back to Sunday, so then it'll be the case of a Thursday, Sunday, Wednesday. And obviously you don't
want Atletico.
Yeah.
Right,
playing 3 games in a week with the biggest game being the 3rd one, that could be a situation that we have to navigate.
Well, yeah, I mean, the first thing that comes to your mind is that it's not a situation because Klopp is happy to make 10 changes for every single time the FA Cup or League Cup looms. So it's not in that sense. But we are getting deeper into the competition. Assuming we beat Shrewsbury and we're playing on a Thursday night, as you say, I think it'd be almost the same sort of team we just described a few minutes ago, which does enable 10 changes. So it will. The only real problem will be the Sunday-Wednesday gap for the European Cup game. That's a bit tight, but at least then you'll have said the first 11 will have had a 7-day rest between the Bournemouth game and the previous one, which will be, I don't know what.
Well, you never know. We might put the tie to bed in Madrid and then we don't have to worry about that. Okay, some more things that definitely are happening in the world of the Anfield Wrap and in Liverpool. We're going back to Ireland, Rob, or should I say you're going back to Ireland? I'm kind of surprised they're letting you back in, to be honest.
What? I did nothing wrong.
So do you know the dates? Do you know the places?
Places I can give you.
Okay.
Places I can give you. They're well-known places. We are going to Belfast, we're going to Dublin, and we're going to Cork. I'm very excited. I did, quite a while ago, I did the Anfield Wrap tours I did Dublin, 2 out of 3 years, and it was great fun. Such that they didn't ask me to do it again for a while. No, actually, to be honest, they did. But I've always had commitments, Mo. But I'm really, really glad to be going back and very, very excited about it. Don't ask me any other details, though.
Don't worry, all the other details are on our website, as always. Go to www.theanfieldwrap.com/tour live, and you'll be able to find out the dates, the places, and everything else that Rob's too old to remember.
Let's crack on.
Sorry, I believe that's all we need to speak about today, Robert.
There's nothing else, is there?
We've got to the end of our agenda.
We've just got to beat Man U.
We've just got to beat Man U. There's a Street Fighter 2 game in this office over there, which I'm now going to beat the crap out of. But yeah, you guys have a good day, and we'll see you again.